This is Jess with Local Music Somewhere, and you're listening to RBeatz Radio. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Local Music Somewhere. I'm Jess with rBeatz, and today we have Chris Singleton in the house, and he is known as SeeSings, a Charlotte-based singer-songwriter. So, Chris, we're so excited to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your music?
Cool. For the most part, I would consider myself as a family-friendly music artist that creates music that is thought-provoking. It either gets you to think, um, gets you to reflect, laugh, smile, learn something, especially, and that's kind of it. And yeah,
Yeah, so your latest single called Not Yet, I listened to it and, it's obviously a great message and it's super catchy and it's just very powerful. And I was wondering, what's the story, behind that song?
cool. So in 2015, my wife and I just got married, August 15th, 2015. So we just celebrated 8 years. But we were expecting like right away, and that's not like we wanted to start a family, but we weren't expecting it to happen like that soon.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was about 9 weeks in, we actually had a miscarriage. So, so that was 2015. So here it is. After that, we followed the doctor's orders. We kept trying. 2017, we're expecting again, and we find out what I think like at the 2 month mark when she goes for her ultrasound, and we were actually expecting twins. And I was super duper excited. And then we found out around the halfway mark that they were identical twins. And something they told us about earlier on is typically if you have identical twins, there's a chance you that you might not see them. So we found out on Friday that they actually had twin to twin transfusion syndrome, which means one twin was getting too much nutrients and the other one wasn't getting enough, and it was affecting both of them negatively. And so we found that out on a Friday. So because we found it out on a Friday, there was nothing that we could do about that. We had to wait until Monday to see the specialist for him to see if he could save them. And then by
Oh,
the time we met with the specialist on Monday, we found out that we actually lost them. So so my mom has said to me, this is not God saying no. He's just saying not yet.
wow.
And then what ended up happening was the doctor told us to wait the 6 months. We got pregnant in 6 months. But the whole time it's like, God, is this really going to happen?
Yeah.
We actually made it to the part where we could actually have a gender reveal. Like we've never made it that far that we could actually have a gender reveal. So that was exciting, but it's still, is this going to happen? We
Yeah.
actually made it to the point where we had a baby shower, but it's still, is this going to happen? 3 weeks later, her water breaks on November 2nd, 2018, and on November 3rd, she had to have an emergency C-section. But I'm glad to say that CJ is here. He's alive. He's thriving. Um, he needs some work on his listening ears, but he's here. And in between that, him being here, he actually became a big brother in 2020. And his brother Joshua is also a November baby. So CJ is November 3rd, Joshua is November 11th. And I always knew I wanted to share my testimony in a unique way. And it just so happened that I happened to hear this track that my friend Chris Gear was playing around with. And I was playing around with hooks, and I was like, this is not God saying no. He said no. I'm like, this is the hook. I had like two other hooks in mind, but I'm like, no, this is the
Yeah.
hook. And then I started writing around that.
Yeah. No, it's a great hook. And, that's such a difficult concept when you really want something so badly and to try to just trust in that plan. And that song, I definitely feel conveys it really well. I think it's a good healing song. It's a good, something to hold on to. So I really appreciate that you made something that's, that effective in that way. It was definitely a success. Um, yeah, well, thank you for sharing that story. That's a big, big deal. But that's where our music comes from, is our deepest emotions and struggles, and I think you've used that very well. So I appreciate you sharing that. I
No.
also saw somewhere online that maybe your son played ukulele with you at, I think it was the Chalk Art Festival in
Yeah,
Charlotte.
yeah, yeah. So that was actually last year's
Yeah,
Chalk Festival. Um, he's, at least as far as a performer standpoint, he's kind of straying away from that. But at home, he loves to play it. And Joshua is way more interested in drums and the ukulele as well. And CJ's more ukulele and keyboard.
gotcha. Well, that's great. So you got a musical family.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. That's great. I also noticed that you had a couple other singles out, previously, Help Me See Your POV, lots of really cool stacked harmonies in there. I also noticed that you might be a piano coach. Am I right in saying that? So
Yes.
tell me more about your musical background, like, with the sounds and the musician aspect of that. Like, where did you start with all of that?
Cool. So, I mean, mostly, if I'm taking it way, way back, my mom just played like a lot of music, and I had a unknown natural gifting for singing. But prior to me realizing that, my mom paid for me to take piano lessons, and that lasted for 2 weeks. And that lasted for 2 weeks because my instructor, I feel, didn't take the time to get to know me. She was trying to teach me traditionally, and that's not the way that I needed to learn. If she would have took the time to get to know me a little bit better, I would have started piano a long, long time ago, and I might have had a completely different trajectory because it's something that I'm just really good at. So I didn't touch a piano for like 7 years. And then I went into BJ's when they used to sell keyboards, and I learned the one finger version of the Mario Brothers in 3 minutes, and I had it memorized. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? So that actually changed my trajectory from just majoring in education to also majoring in music. And then I ended up just stopping the education portion altogether at the time, and I just decided to major in music. And then I ended up taking a couple piano classes. I actually was able to volunteer my time to be um, the assistant while I was also taking classes myself. I was the piano one assistant for a semester, and there was actually one class where she was out sick, and she told me to ask the class, do they want to do the class or do they want to go home? And everybody stayed, listened to my 15-minute lesson, and stayed after that. So that's when I felt empowered that, oh, this is actually something that I'm not only good at, but I'm also good at instructing. And I think it's because of my background with somebody not teaching in an accessible manner that I found ways to make it accessible, and and then I ended up doing that. I ended up doing piano workshops, and I ended up doing one in an after school program at an artsy high school, which blew my mind because it's like, you guys are gifted and you guys are trusting me to teach you. And I had one of the most I had the program that intrigued the most people, that they actually had to have two during one session. Like there was two intro to piano classes because so many students wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's so important when it comes to education, because you really need to wrap your mind around the fact that everyone's got a different brain, everyone's got a different creative style and all their influences, and you can't just be, the same across the board. So that's a true gift to be able to do that. It's a very enriching thing. I myself am an instructor as well, so I definitely see what you're saying, and it's very rewarding. in that way to share something so wonderful.
Right.
So that's fantastic. I also wanted to talk about your influences here musically. So, like, who do you look to as far as your artists that you know, are your go-tos?
Cool. So for me, MJ is definitely at the top.
Okay.
Michael Jackson, Boys to Men, Whitney Houston, Babyface, Teddy Riley. Oh my gosh, I don't listen to everything, but that he does. But Jay Z, Eminem, Lin Manuel Miranda. Now as far as some non mainstream people. One of my good friends, Sean Terrell, I love his style. There's a guy by the name of Woody Vereen is awesome. Frank Brady, who's more so of a spoken word artist, is awesome. My boy Black Jules has a very different, unique style. A guy named Lord's Witness, Pastor Chris Edwards. Oh my gosh, uh, what is her name? I don't want to.
That's all right.
Yeah, there's, oh my gosh. Oh, this guy named Benor, who I just met within the past 2 years. He's based out of Brooklyn, amazing artist. And there's just a couple people that I've bumped into over the past 2 years, but their names are like for some reason. Oh, Alicia, but don't I don't remember her artist name, but she is a ukulele player based out of Chicago. Her sound is crazy, and her partner Bobby, same. Like he is also a singer, but also plays a trumpet. Like, and people that are connected to them, I I like to pull bits and pieces from many different areas,
Yeah.
many different
Yeah,
artists.
right. Yeah. So you're connecting with a lot of artists. It sounds like you like
Yep.
to develop these relationships with them. Yeah. We talk about that here on the local music summer segment because it's really important to not just be an island and think, you know, you can do your work without connecting. So, you know, do you feel like that plays a part, you know, in your either creative process or just promotion process in general? Like, what do you think about that?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're connecting with the other artists, you know, we talk about how you just can't do everything on your own. I mean, do you find that, you know, there's more opportunity and, you know, connecting with others or getting onto other bills or open mic nights, things like that? Like, what are you doing to kind of, you know, infiltrate that whole community there?
Cool. So, are you familiar with the arts and the culture blocks at all?
Not sure.
Cool. So
What?
ASC Science Council, they have grant opportunities for people to host culture blocks where basically community members get to tap in with organizations and participate for free. There's an organization called Grindhouse, and they had these singer songwriter lock-ins where basically you network with people you might not know and you guys create a song like on the spot.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's how I got tapped in with Grindhouse. So fast forward to November, December of last year, I ended up writing "Help Me See Your POV" because of another culture block, which was a songwriter showcase hosted by Arsena, who I don't know if you know yet, but she's an awesome person. And basically, I was attending therapy as well as that songwriting workshop, and that's how I ended up writing "Help Me See Your POV" because I wanted to become a better husband and a better dad. I would not have written that song if it wasn't for Arsena having that, and also like I'm also a writer at heart, but it's like going to the lock-ins, going to that kind of helped push me towards writing that song, and then I ended up after the event people are like, where can I hear it? I'm like, oh, like that means I gotta go and record it. So going back to Grindhouse, I ended up working with a engineer who's a great engineer, but he wasn't the engineer for this. So I ended up getting connected with an artist by the name of Brown. Brown has the most crazy. He's engineered all three of my songs, and he's also had a part in that stacking that you brought up.
Yeah, yeah.
He had a huge part in those stacks that I was able to sing them, but a lot of them, if it wasn't for his ear, the songs wouldn't sound the way that they sound because it was his ear. So you know that collaboration piece, his ear made my songs the way that they are. I had the foundation, but he helped me get the building.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's another song too, when you're saying that, you're creating, a positive space with your music. I noticed that right off the bat. It's just so refreshing to see someone who's like writing a song about, you know, communication, like real communication and connection with your partner. And I just, appreciated that as well, on top of the musicality of it, which was really great. I loved listening. Um, so you're going to be playing live, okay? With Steve Pasley has an open mic night on Monday. Are you kind of, you know, usually gigging, or is this like a once in a while type of thing for you?
So I'm trying to gig more, so that more people can be aware of what it is that I'm doing. Because the issue is, if you're not out there, how are people going to know unless people are talking about you? So, to kind of answer two questions in one, I have been networking with other artists and finding about more opportunities so that I can be doing more more of this. Actually, John, I don't know if you spoke with John, but Wendy did, and the only reason why I'm here right now is because of my connection to John. If I was not connected to John, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So it's very imperative to be out there, because other opportunities can arise just from you simply being there and sharing your gift with the world. I actually had I performed at another Charlotte Chalk Festival, had another event actually this past weekend, and I was a part of that again. And I actually had someone that's a grandmother share with me that Not Yet was also her daughter's testimony with, well, her and her daughter's testimony, because it took her daughters 4 years to bring a baby into the world. She didn't have any
Wow.
conceiving, but just because she had multiple miscarriages. So, long story short, yeah, I am. I'm not doing it as much as I would like to, but then again, I am. I was a part of Charlotte Shout earlier this year. Arsena had another event which I was a part of. Grindhouse had an event that I was a part of. So actually, yeah, I'm consistent enough, but I think next year I want to do a little bit more. Um, just
Gotcha.
simply because there's so many people that can resonate with the approach that I'm taking to music, and then the
Absolutely.
message behind those.
Yes, I totally agree. That sounds really great. Is there anything else, moving forward that you'd like to do musically besides, gigging we talked about, but, new songs on the horizon?
Oh yeah. Um, One thing that I mentioned earlier is that I'm a writer at heart.
Hmm.
So I can tell you that there's a song that I'm working on called Proud. And Proud was actually inspired kind of similar to Not Yet. I was we were at a funeral a few weeks, and basically what came to me during the repast was the hook for this song. And basically it's based upon our dads affirming their sons or daughters, and their sons and daughters affirming their dad. So basically, the song is affirmation, empowering song, explaining to your children that you're proud of them, and then their children, finding ways to be proud of what their parents had to endure in order for them to be, for their child to have the opportunities that they have, because that's something that sometimes, a lot of times, is not expressed, because people don't realize that, no, their parents may not be perfect, but their parents have done a lot for them to be, where they are. So Proud is one. I have another song called My Favorite Letter O, and that song is actually inspired by CJ. There was a writing prompt to write about your favorite letter, and I'm like, out of all the prompts, that was the one I struggled with the most because I'm like, what kind of prompt? I don't have a favorite letter. But then I realized that CJ actually recognized the letter O. So I started writing a poem where every line in the poem had at least one word that had the letter O in it. But I ended up doing a remix version that is Sesame Street based. And the same thing. Every single line has at least one word in it that has the letter O in it. And I actually shared it at a music review kickback, hosted by, I want to say, Charlene Music. If it's not Charlene Music, please. But the person that does it is actually E Piano Queen. I at least remember that. But I want to say this also. I want to say her thing is Charlotte New Music. And when I played it, they were like, "That's like, where's the rest of it?" So I had to go back and write a second verse, for that song, and I shared it at a music review kickback, and they gave me feedback to help me enhance the song even more. I wanted to release that this month, but I'm definitely going to release it next month. Probably not by his birthday because CJ's birthday is next week, but definitely in November, I'm definitely going to release My Favorite Letter O. And another song I'm going to drop is called 16 Hours. And basically, that song was inspired by the idea that doctors tell you to get at least 8 hours of sleep. So that means you have 16 hours to try to chase your goals, try to chase your passion. That doesn't mean you legit have 16 hours because we have work, we have responsibilities, but where in that 16-hour time frame are you going to capitalize on moments to jot down ideas that you have, to not only jot down ideas, but actually work towards those? Are you, if you're a singer songwriter, are you pulling out your phone and singing your song in a voice memo? It doesn't have to be a fully recorded song. If you're a painter, are you opening up your tablet and just, if you have a 5 minute period, starting something? So essentially, something is better than nothing.
Right.
And there's a lot more. The last thing that I will share is I'm definitely going to release a cover slash mashup of "Lose Yourself" and "My Shot" from Hamilton. "Lose Yourself" is the first song that I learned how to play on the ukulele, and those two songs, they have the same message. Do not throw away your opportunities and chase your goals. That's the same message of both of those songs. And literally, I'm not throwing away my shot. You better lose
Yeah.
yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let go. You only get one shot.
Mm.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I cannot wait to hear. It's very inspiring and I really appreciate all the work that you're doing. I think it's just great and we need more of that. So I really appreciate having you on the show today, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for
All
having me.
right. Yeah, of course. And all of your links will be listed in our description. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cool. Have a good one.
Thanks as always for tuning into rBeatz Radio. Search for more local music somewhere on rBeatz.com and follow our social media for highlighted artists as we travel with hashtag local music somewhere.